Hello, my friends. This is Lynda Lippin, and welcome to the Pilates Goddess podcast. Hello, everybody, and welcome back. You came back once again to listen to the Pilates Goddess podcast, and I, for one, am very happy about that. And I would really like to encourage everybody who's listening and listening regularly, if you love the podcast, to go over to Apple Podcasts and leave a rating and a written review. And if you're listening on Spotify, leave us a rating on Spotify. It'll take about 2 seconds of your time and is extremely meaningful to me and to the podcast and to the continuation of the podcast in the world. Reviews are good things. Now, today I am once again talking to a Pilates teacher who I have known for many, many years. We were just discussing the fact that the last time we saw each other live was probably 20 years ago in New York City for some Physical Mind Institute teacher training transmittals. But today I have with me the lovely Tania Huddart from Hearts and Bones Pilates in New Zealand. Now, Tania has been teaching Pilates for over 20 years, and she, like myself, is Physical Mind Institute certified and had been a Physical Mind Institute teacher training studio for a number of years. And really what Tania started to see, especially with COVID, was how hard it was for talented teachers in our industry to continue working and continue teaching. Between the burnout, between the stress, between the lack of confidence, the imposter syndrome, not being ready to shift from studio to online, not being sure what to do, so many of us have actually left the business altogether. So she wrote a book this year in 2022 called Teach Pilates with Confidence, and has established the Teach Pilates with Confidence Academy and the Pilatespreneur Academies online to help Pilates teachers all over the world to be successful. And in a big way, Tania believes, as I do, that success starts with really defining who we are and who we want to serve. And that starts with core values, right? Yep. And in my Pilates Teacher Mastermind, that's where we start as well, with core values. Because if you don't got that, you have nothing. Now, my core values are truth, care, and love.
Yeah.
So Tania, let's open with your core values.
My core values: freedom, kindness, love, community, and connection.
See, lovely.
Yeah.
So Tania, how are you?
I am fabulous. Thank you, Lynda. And so lovely to see you and connect with you. It's been the last couple of years have really been also about reminiscing for me, because I've been talking to so many people. And that's, I think, one of the gifts that COVID gave me, was that all of a sudden we weren't isolated. I wasn't stuck on the arse end of the world in lovely little New Zealand, but we could all come together again. So yes, it's been a wonderful journey to sort of pull all the stuff together. And it's been through the inspiration of, connecting with you, connecting with Barbara Sampson again, and Leslie Powell, and, all those people that have meant so much to me through my career. And it's just wonderful to be here, just wonderful to be able to share what I know to the best of my ability.
Right. Which, I mean, is really, I was talking to somebody about this the other day. That's all we can do. Like, we learn new things come out about the body. It's an issue for us if we don't adopt the new things.
Yeah.
But as long as we adopt the new things and kind of move with the times, we're fine. And I think what happened, with a lot of Pilates teachers, and, I saw it right after the lockdown started, because that was such an abrupt, I remember it was just like, one day we all went to work. and the next day we weren't working.
No.
And so many teachers had, number one, disparaged Pilates mat for so many years, right?
Yeah.
Because equipment is so flippin' expensive and rent is so expensive that really all we wanted was to get more teachers into the studio
Yes.
and more clients into the studio and do teacher trainings and produce more teachers to teach, hopefully in our studio, or, if not around
Elsewhere.
and opening their own and elsewhere, and kind of spreading that word. And then all of a sudden that was not a thing anymore. All of a sudden that was done and gone.
Yeah.
Now, does that mean that we couldn't teach Pilates? No. Does that mean that people didn't still need our help? Absolutely not. And in fact, they probably need our help at this point more.
Yep.
Right? Because they're sitting at home, they're getting tight, they're not moving, they're doing all the other things on Zoom and online. And why not also be doing some exercise? But of course, the problem is that for most Pilates teachers, they became very much generalists, right? So you would, no matter really who called, you would see them in the studio. We work with men, we work with women, we work with people of all ages. Yeah. Back pain, neck pain, you got a sports injury, hip replacement, come on in.
Yeah.
We can see all of you, but that doesn't work so well when we're trying to kind of nudge our way into the online market, does it?
No, it doesn't. And do you know, I'm not sure that it actually works in the studio setting either. Because you can't be everything to everybody. And if you're not passionate about something, it's very hard to teach it. Right?
Right.
It's very hard to find that motivation. So I think we all need to teach to our strengths. And you can try and do the best job possible, but there's somebody else out there that loves to do what you don't like to do. So that's where the community comes in. Send them to somebody who specializes in that area. It's their passion. Don't hang on to them. Make room for the people that you want to work with, whether it's online or in the studio. So I'm a firm believer in really, like you say, understanding why you teach, who your target market is, what is it that makes you happy to work with, who are the people that you want to serve, because then it's just this beautiful coexistence and co-creation that you're doing between you and your clients, and that's what builds a successful business.
Right, and that way people aren't miserable.
No.
I don't know if you had seen this thread a while ago, but it was in one of the Pilates groups on Facebook, not my group because I don't let that kind of stuff happen.
Yeah.
But somebody had made a post and they asked, like, so share your worst client story with us, or the thing, the client you hate the most, or something like that. And there were, 300 comments, and
Explosion.
I was talking to Right. I was talking to Allison Marsh about this, interviewing her last week. And it was like, guys, why are you working with people you don't like?
Yeah.
Like, I don't understand that.
No, I don't either. There are very calm, gentle ways that you can move them on, because you don't suit everybody, and people feel it. If there's no connection there, so instead of them going out into the world going, oh, that Tania from Hearts and Bones, she's rubbish, move them on. Send them somewhere where that their personalities are going to fit. Get to know.
Share the love too. Like, how about, we always talk about the Pilates community, but we don't behave always like a community. And you'll see it even in, small neighborhoods or small areas where there might be a teacher down the road that specializes in what that person needs.
Yes.
And that does a service to you by freeing up your schedule, so you're not worrying about people. I mean, it's not like when we started teaching Pilates and there were like 500 studios in the entire world.
Exactly.
Right? I mean, now there's like at least 500,000. So there's somebody down the road usually
Yeah.
who can
For
do it.
everybody.
And if there isn't somebody physically, there's going to be somebody who does it online.
Yes. Now, which is just, isn't that just phenomenal?
Exactly.
And the
Exactly. Like
longevity
I
for
still
our
have,
industry.
oh yeah.
Yeah.
I still have people reaching out to me about diastasis recti and postnatal. And now, I've kind of moved on and dealing with osteoporosis and, balance and that. So when I get the diastasis ladies now, I just send them to people like Allison. I'm like, all right, I've got, you want in studio in New York. I've got at least 2 people I can send you to who one's contemporary, one's very classical,
Yeah.
whatever you're comfortable with. And if you want to work online, here are the folks who also do it online.
Yeah. Yeah. It's amazing,
That's
isn't it?
not my specialty anymore.
No. Yeah.
And
And it's
everyone's
not
fine.
what spins your wheels anymore. We all do things that we do for a period of time where we're really passionate about it. For me, for a long time, it was scoliosis. Absolutely loved anything to do with scoliosis.
Right.
Now I don't want to do it anymore. I've moved on the same way. I'm passionate about helping teachers teach better. And
right. And that's how I am too. Cause and here's another thing I just want to point out to everybody, that Tania and I work in the same space in that way, right? I've got the Pilates Teacher Mastermind, which is, my trademark programs. And I do the same thing. But the fact is there are plenty of teachers out there and there's plenty of business for both of us.
Well, exactly. And that's always been the case, because
Yes.
it's also our businesses are personality driven. And so some people will resonate with me, some people will resonate with you, some people will resonate with both of us. It doesn't mean that one is better or worse. It just means that there's room for everybody to connect and get the best that they possibly can because of their personalities and our personalities matching.
Exactly. And I'm actually thrilled now that there's more of us. I mean, I think we can still probably count on within 10 fingers, the number of Pilates teachers who also do Pilates business coaching.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah,
And
I
kind of
think you're
help
right.
people out with that. Which is kind of sad. I mean, we could probably name them all.
Yeah.
Right now, because there's so few of us and we actually do all know each other and are probably on all of each other's lists.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, because we all want the best for the community. That's the thing.
Yes.
Like everybody being happy, everybody teaching great Pilates, having great client success stories, and all of that elevates our entire industry and elevates all of us.
Absolutely. And I still think there's a lot of misconception out there in the general public about what Pilates is.
There still is.
Or just the fact that it can be so versatile. There aren't many movement modalities out there that can achieve what Pilates can achieve, with or without equipment. There's so many places that this can take people. Whether you want to be the elite athlete or whether you want to just be able to get up and down off the floor and play with your grandchildren, it can service that entire range of need. And that's just, to me, the most powerful way to communicate with people, is to give them that ability to move well. It's just such a game-changing thing, isn't it? And just the health benefits from movement is just phenomenal.
Right. I mean, that's the thing when you read kind of what Joseph Pilates has written, right? Which is how people take better care of their cars than they do their bodies, right? He talks about exercise, scheduling exercise the same way you schedule in the oil changes and your transmission service and all of the things that you do for your car. Right. I mean, he has a whole rant that he goes on. It's like a page and a half where he's like, people are allowed to take off from work to go get their car serviced, but they're not allowed to take off from work to go exercise. What's that about? But it's true, because I was talking to a client of mine just before this, in my Strong Bones program. And she's actually one of the 3 clients I've been talking about who had increased bone density on their DEXAs this year, where adding the exercise is the only thing that changed, right?
Yep.
And, I said to her, I really wish that they had started talking about Pilates and exercise generally in terms of maintenance.
Yeah.
Like, not just in terms of making your ass look better, or not just in terms of getting the six pack, or
No.
not just in terms of sports, because then, you had people like me where like I did some dance and I did some other things, but I wasn't like the sporty girl. I was always the last one picked for a team in gym class and frankly didn't give a shit because I
Yeah.
hated it.
Yeah.
Um, I was like, can I just walk around the track? Like, I'll do that. Like,
Yeah.
I don't know what, for me, like dodgeball was like a nightmare.
Yes.
you know, like all of these things, had no interest in them, but was always interested in moving. I loved ballet.
Exactly.
I loved yoga. And when I found Pilates in college, I loved Pilates. And when I found weight training, I loved weight training. So,
Yeah.
and then when I found out more and more and more about how these things are just really about maintenance. Like when I talk to my ladies now, who are in their 60s and have weak bones, and I'm like, this is about learning how to catch yourself when you fall.
Yeah.
Like, let's bring
Absolutely.
it down to basics. Like, you don't want to do a squat. Would you like to be able to sit down and stand up? Because that's what the squat
It is all about.
teaches,
Yeah.
right? Or
Yeah.
we don't like lunges or step ups, but we want to be able to walk up steps, walk up ramps, and get up off the floor, which typically involves kind of a lungy kind of
Exactly.
thing, right? I mean, all of these kind of basics where I'm like, no, this is just about like life.
Exactly. And I think that's the thing, isn't it? Is linking what we do to normal everyday life. I mean, we can do all the fancy exercises, right? We can go backwards over the ladder barrel into a handstand and into a full split. But, at the end of the day, my clients don't want to do that. That scares the living daylights out of them. What
Yeah,
they want to be able to do is just do life better. So,
exactly.
and that's what I teach. I am with you, Lynda, on the simplicity. I don't teach fancy exercises. I don't see the point because my clients, A, don't remember them, and B, they need to be able to use them in their normal everyday life.
Right.
Because if it's
Right.
not connected into that, then exercise is just that tick the box scenario. And I don't want to tick boxes. I mean, I'm with you. I personally hate exercise. I've never liked exercising.
Mm-hmm.
I've
Right.
moved all my life. And that's why I loved Pilates, because it was like dancing. It
Right.
was never the same. It was always different, but the principles remained the same. And it was the principles that you refine. And the principles are simple. And that's where the
Exactly.
power lies. That's the
Right. And
power
the
of Pilates,
principles can be applied to all kinds of
of
special
movement.
populations.
Yeah.
So, whatever you like to work with, you like to work with people with neurological disorders, have at it. You can target Pilates there. You like to work with chronic pain, great.
Yeah. But that's where
Do
the
it there.
teaching comes in, right? So that's really understanding your teaching methodology. And that's why I think people often get themselves confused because they think they need to know more and more and more and more and more. The problem is they have all this knowledge, but they can't translate it.
Right.
So they can't take this knowledge and go, okay, so now how do I apply it? And at the root of this is again our core principles, who we want to work with. Because if you can't communicate with that client, you can have all the high level knowledge you want. It's wasted. You've lost all your money that you've invested in this if you can't communicate well with your client through your teaching methodology.
Right. And so that's really what you're teaching.
Yeah. That's
Yes.
what spins my wheels for sure. That's my background. That's my original training at university was in dance, and dance teaching was my speciality. And I graduated as top of my class as the best student teacher of the year. And for me, it was always how do I communicate? Because if somebody's not understanding it, it's not because they're stupid, it's because I'm not explaining it well enough. So I
Right.
have to figure out how do I get them to understand it? So do I use a visualization cue? Do I pull out the skeleton? Do I show them a picture? Do I demonstrate? What is it that's going to fill that gap for them between the knowing and the doing.
Right. And there's a string of, and I mean, I kind of, this is a more global statement, but I have found that in general, over the generations since, ours. So, we're
Yeah.
kind of Gen X, right? And then you
Yep.
move into kind of Y and Z,
Yep.
that we're looking at less critical thinking. And I think
Yes.
some of it has to do with education. Some of it just has to do with the fact that you can kind of Google everything and it's all, presumably there for you.
Yeah.
Whereas we had to go look, we had to go physically to the library or the bookstore,
Yeah.
make phone calls and really get that, find out where to get that knowledge and go get
Exactly.
it. It wasn't just kind of sitting there, ready
No. And
for
we had to
us.
network, right? We had to
Yes.
network like
Like
crazy.
really
Everybody was an
network, like the
osteopath.
brochures, the going around, the leaving business cards.
Yep.
Remember
Yep.
that?
Yeah. All
The
of that.
bulletin boards
Yeah.
at the supermarket, the bulletin boards at
Yep.
Staples.
Yep.
Yes.
You had to hoof your way around and introduce yourself to people and be upfront and say, this is me. This is what I look like. This is what I do. Can I come in
Yeah.
and show you? Do you want to come to me and let me show you?
Right. Do you
Yeah.
want to come into the studio and see a demonstration? Do you,
Yeah.
how can we do this? I mean, it
Not
was
quickly take
much,
a selfie for Instagram.
right. I mean, it was much more difficult then,
Yeah,
right, than it is
absolutely.
now, for
Mm.
sure. And I feel like that's kind of what teachers need to understand, right? Is that there are these intermediary steps that we need to take on that path from the knowing what we know and learning that to figuring out who we want to work with and then communicating that
Yeah.
effectively to our clients. So talk to me a little bit about your programs. How do they work?
Well, basically, the Teach Pilates with Confidence Academy is, in a way, my legacy project, I suppose. That's started with a book this year. But it's all the workshops that I've been teaching over the last 20 years, I'm gradually filming and putting into that portal. Now, one of the things that is really important to me is that information is cost effective for people, but also that they can come in and get the support that they need. So with the Academy, I have constantly, I'm putting new workshops in, at least one a month. It's a flat fee. And then like later on today, I'm doing the masterclass. So I will pick one of the workshops and I'll go through that again. And any questions that have come at me from the members or even from people in my Facebook group, I will then answer them at the end. So I'll sort of represent the content. But of course, I'm probably going to say it in a different way to what it is when it's been filmed. So there are going to be more nuggets in there. But then there's also this ability to interact with me live. Or if you can't make it, sending me the questions and then listening to the recording afterwards. So that there's a constant support. I'm always there for emails and all that kind of thing. And then because I think that a lot of people open up studios and don't really understand what it is they're doing, and often get themselves into hot water, I mean, I've seen you and I've both answered questions so many times about, should I have policies, how do I stick to them, all this kind of thing. I'm not quite sure how to do the marketing or the what have you. So I decided to set up the Pilatespreneur Academy, and that's actually an extra bonus within the Pilates, Teach Pilates with Confidence Academy.
Okay.
So that people can actually know how to set up their businesses from the ground up with all the right information and make it their own, as well as have all the teaching knowledge and everything else in there. So, yeah, I just wanted to find a way that I could give back to the community in such a way that they could have the continued support. So the monthly subscription allows you to do that. You stay in there for as long as you feel it's necessary. Once you've got what you want, if you want to stay for the masterminds, because I mean, let's face it, for $77 a month, you get an hour to an hour and a half of my time.
Right.
If you work with me one-on-one, it costs you a lot more. So, who wouldn't want to do that? It's just,
Right.
It's a no-brainer, right? And so, yeah, so that's basically where this all came from. And it's been a fantastic journey putting it together. It's been 2 years of hard work. So everybody thinks it falls out the sky, but it doesn't. As you know, it's just
No,
constant. And
no,
especially,
because let's face it. I mean, we all had to like get some training as well and learning how to kind of put all of those programs together and sell them
yeah,
as well. So,
yeah,
if
exactly.
people think that we as coaches don't also have coaches, they are wrong.
Oh, yeah, they are very wrong. Yeah, no, I spent a lot of money on coaching and continue to do so.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Value
And
them so
it's
much.
definitely,
Yeah.
definitely it's the value. I mean, you and I have both commented online recently, actually, in some Facebook groups about um, definitions of good teachers. Like I kind of love
Yes.
when that comes up because I'm like, you could be the best teacher in the world, but if your clients are having good outcomes, then really you're not a great teacher.
No,
Sorry, but
exactly.
it's
Well,
about
that's
the
true,
client
isn't it?
outcome.
Yeah. I always say your teaching success is not based on what you think you know. It's based on what your clients are getting from you. So if your
Right.
clients are successful, you're successful. If your clients are unsuccessful, you have to go back to the drawing board and get curious. Don't beat yourself up about it. Just go, okay, so why isn't this working? What can I do differently? So that curiosity, I think, is really important, to
Yeah.
be able to keep pushing yourself forward and, keep you involved and stop you from burning out.
Yeah. I mean, burnout is real.
Yeah, it's big. And so why would you want to be working with people that drain you when, you can fill your tank with people who inspire you and people who keep you curious to help them solve their problems, That's so much more exciting space to work in.
Exactly. I mean, because people come to us to help them solve their problems. Like that's, rule number one in what we do.
Yeah.
And in selling what we do is
Yeah.
we are solving problems for people.
Yeah.
I don't think, I mean, there's so much kind of generalized exercise out there, and that's precisely not what we do,
No.
right? What we do as Pilates teachers is not generalized.
Yeah. I like to think of it as Pilates is for everybody, but not everybody is for me.
Right.
Yep. For the people I want to work with is not everybody. The people I want to work with are the people that resonate and that I resonate with, the people who want to make that change. And that's
Hmm.
where we're in such an enviable position, right? Because we only get committed people coming to us. It's not like somebody going to a physio because they fell over at the supermarket and twisted their ankle and, oh, no, I have to go to physio and I have to go and do my exercises.
Right. Right.
People come to us because they want to. And we have such a huge opportunity to change their lives. It's just phenomenal. We're so lucky to do what we do. 27 years in, and I still get excited about working with people. You have to find a way to keep that joy. And you don't do that by teaching everybody.
Right. I mean, I was joking about this with one of my doctors the other day, right? And we were saying how meeting a new doc, it's like a blind date
Yeah.
in all the worst possible ways. And in a way, it's the same thing with a new Pilates teacher or a new, whatever, because you're actually paying to be there. So you're spending time, you're spending money. You really have no idea who this person is, if you're going to get along. You're hoping for the best.
Yeah.
And, and then, if it doesn't work, it doesn't work.
Yeah.
And that's really okay.
It is. Don't take it personally. In fact, be
Right.
grateful. I'm grateful for the people who find that I'm not for them and move on, because then I don't have to guide them to it. They make it easy for me.
Right. And it's
You
a
know?
business decision. We know
Yeah.
that. It's not like a personal attack.
No.
Leslie Logan actually did a great reel on Instagram yesterday about this exact thing.
Oh, great.
So
I didn't see that one.
speaking of yet another coach in the
Yeah.
Pilates teaching and business space
Yeah.
who's wonderful. But yeah, and what she said was, look, if clients say no to you or they don't want to work with you anymore, it's not a personal thing. It's a
No,
business decision primarily,
it
right?
is.
And it also has to do with who you like to spend your time with. I mean, we spend a significant amount of time with our clients.
We do.
If they're coming, if I mean, really, other than your immediate family or really, really close friends, how many people do you spend one-on-one hours with,
Yeah, you don't.
possibly 1 to 3 to 4 to 5 hours with every
Yeah.
single week? Nobody.
Well, as one of my clients said to me, Tanya, I spend more time with you than my best friend.
Right.
So it's an intense relationship.
Yeah.
And,
Yeah.
not all relationships last forever, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
And they
We
shouldn't. Many of them should
No,
not.
they shouldn't, because once I've given the client what they want, it's their responsibility to take it out into the world and make use of it in their everyday life to make room for the next person I can help. I don't want to hang on to my clients. I want them to have the tools with which to help themselves. When they leave, it's a celebration. It's not a commiseration,
Right.
because you've solved their problem for them. Their anxiety is no longer there. They feel like they've got the tools, and hell, they can always come back. It's
Right.
not like
And
it's
that's the other
final.
thing. People don't have to be with you forever.
No,
They don't.
no,
And
it's
they
a huge
really, I
celebration
mean,
if they
unless,
can't.
unless they're still progressing and they're moving forward. I mean, I'm sure we both have clients that we've had for many, many years and
Yes.
they're doing well and it's all good. But that doesn't have to be the case. It can literally just be that people come to you, you solve their problem and they go.
Yeah, yeah,
They
and
have the
isn't that
tools and they
wonderful?
go.
Yeah,
And that's really, I mean, isn't that kind of what we want?
yeah,
We want them to be able to take those tools and use them in their lives. And then when they do, we're like, oh, but they're not paying us anymore for their
Damn, I'm too good at what I do.
Pilates, right? But really, that's what we want. So then they're
Yeah,
out there doing their thing. And then their friends and family are like, hey, how are you out here doing this thing when
yeah,
you were in so much pain or dysfunction or whatever before? And then they're like, oh, because I did this with this person. And then suddenly you have another client.
exactly. They're your
Yeah.
biggest advocates, aren't they? They're your walking billboards. And it's just, yeah, it's a wonderful thing.
Yeah.
We're just lucky to do what we're doing. Hey.
We really are. We
Mm.
really are. So, Tanya, tell me how people can get in touch with you if they want to work with you. Of course, we're putting links to a bunch of your stuff in the show notes. I have that, but
Absolutely. Yeah, no, everything is really accessible through my website. So
great.
everything is there. The business coaching is there if you want to work with me one-on-one. I do that on Zoom as well, the same as you do. There's the information about the Pilates Academy, the Teach Pilates with Confidence Academy is there. There is the link to the book on Amazon, and there in the front of the book there is actually a discount code. There is a online course that goes with the book,
Oh, great.
and there's sort of $100 off the discount code, so that I wanted to make it accessible for as many learners as possible. So if just reading stuff is not your bag, then you can have the book, but you can also do the course online, and I take you through all aspects of that, from woe to go. And then there are lots of other videos on there on applying the stuff. So, looking at the application of the teaching and how would you teach, a concept using visualization versus using other
Right.
tools. So,
Great.
yeah, so there's lots of help out there. Just reach out. I'm here. I've got a Facebook page which people can come. Teach Movement with Confidence is that one. Um, I have got a YouTube channel for Hearts and Bones Pilates where there's loads of information, business, movement, exercises, you name it. It's there. Go for your life. Just if you like what I do, if you want to work with me, I'm more than happy to help you if I can help you solve your problem.
Wonderful. So I will be putting links to all of Tanya's stuff. All the stuff will
All the
be
stuff.
in the show notes. So you can get to the website, you can get to the book, you can check out the academy. I'll put in a link to the Facebook group so that, if folks want to see what you're doing over there, they can.
Yes,
And
lots of free
thank
information.
you. Yeah. And thank you
Oh,
so
thank you, Lynda.
much.
Wonderful to connect with you. And I just love seeing you pop up on my LinkedIn and my Facebook and everything else. And it's
Yes.
really lovely to see, that we're still in this space. We're still doing what we're doing. And, we have this common history, and it's wonderful. It's something worth celebrating. So thank you.
Yes, it is. So, everybody, thank you guys so much for listening. I think this discussion with Tania has been really kind of priceless. And if you're a teacher who has been, is still floundering a little bit, I encourage you to reach out to Tania, take a look at her stuff, and see if it resonates with you. So, for you guys who are listening, I'm once again going to ask you if you would go and leave a review of the podcast on Apple Podcasts or Spotify. A rating, but a written review on Apple Podcasts would be awesome. Just saying. And I will talk to you guys next time on the Pilates Goddess podcast. Bye. Thank you so much for listening to the Pilates Goddess podcast. Music brought to you by Nerd Salad. Please leave a review on Apple Podcasts, especially if you liked it. And please like, share, and subscribe wherever you listen to your podcasts. Thanks.